Hello, and welcome to Greenleaf's first quarter 2022 review. Here, we'll be discussing the industrial asset class and provide an overview of what Greenleaf is seeing in the market today. For property specifics, please reference your investment cover page for quarterly updates on any specific projects. If you have any questions, we are hosting a live Q&A session to discuss any and all property-related questions or overall performance. Feel free to submit your questions ahead of time or dial in ready for the discussion. Without further ado, we will begin our discussion on the industrial asset class.
All right, thank you very much, Dominique. Abhi and I are very excited about how the first quarter went, not only from buying stuff, but also leasing stuff, which has been going very well. So we're going to touch base on a couple key points today, and then we're going to go into some of the new deals that we have that are coming up. So first real point is leasing. So we bought two deals, Kennesaw and Doraville, that we had really vacancy in that we needed to go after. We bought these deals. Kennesaw had someone that was in there, but then they moved out too, right? So it was 3 suites, 1 vacant, 1 where someone moved out. All right, so we have 32,000 square feet that we're actively leasing, of which we have 2 signed leases out, and the other 3 are we're negotiating them. So we're in good shape with how those are going. All of our rental rates too are above what the market was. So when you found these deals, we were looking at getting $9 or $10 or $11 a square foot. Now we're seeing more in the market. The demand has increased even more for this space.
I was talking to a CBRE broker last week, and he said when he's representing tenants, now they are signing leases a year in advance if they find good spot, because there are only 1 or 2 available options. So they're like, hey, if we find it, we're going to lock it, even though we're going to move in next year. That's how the market is from leasing.
Yeah, so it's an exciting time to be leasing this stuff when we have actual available supply on our side. So it's almost even better to have something that's vacant than fully leased, because we can realize the market rates now versus whenever that lease was signed a year, 2, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, the rates were almost half of what they are now.
How long are our new leases, Dave?
So we're getting leases that are 5 years.
Okay.
In some of them in 7 years too. So we're getting really strong long-term leases. That's really where we see a lot of value creation with these assets if we can get those. These are not month-to-month type leases that we're getting.
And we have annual escalations in for each year too.
Correct. Some of them were even up at 4%.
Oh, wow.
Standard when we were buying stuff, we're excited. If we can get to 3% on average, that's great. And now we're getting above that on our annual escalations as well, in some cases. But no matter what, all of them have annual escalations, which is great. When we're buying stuff, not all of that stuff has annual escalations. So that's a key part of how we sign leases. We want to make sure we have that in there. So with the flex space that we do have, leasing has been going very well. We're excited about it. And part of that, too, is just the type of flex properties that we have. So our buildings are typically smaller than everything else that's coming onto the market right now.
Yep. And the builders are not building small, shallow bay flex warehouse that we are buying. Everybody wants to build a big box spec and lease to Amazon and Target, and then flip at 3 cap.
Yeah, and that's a building that's 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 square feet. It needs a huge amount of land to pull off something of that build. Almost any highway you drive around now, you see these monstrous warehouses going up. But what that kind of prices out is all of the other businesses that need 5,000 or 8,000 or 10,000 square feet, like they cannot. 700,000 is just not even in the ballpark of what they're looking to do. So there's no one, as you're talking, there's nobody building a 5,000 to 10,000 square foot flex space.
Yeah, when I look at a sub-market or market or neighborhood, I always look at how the demand is. Then I also look at what supply for next 5 years, because if somebody's building in our asset class, we have to compete against them, right? Like you said, supply is non-existent in our asset. The kind of subtype we're buying.
Yeah. So that gives us, it's easy to lease, or it's easier to lease. It's never easy to do anything, but it's easier to lease when you have a product that's in high demand. And also, without building any more inventory into the type of asset we're buying, we're in a really good spot. Now, eventually, our price per square foot, or in the market of this shallow bay flex, will grow enough that people will start to warn, like, hey, maybe we should build in this space. But that doesn't happen quickly, and building is not easy at all.
Specifically in the infill locations that we are buying, you cannot get zoning. You cannot, city won't approve another flex warehouse. typically, you know?
Yeah. So makes for a good asset class when it's constrained geographically and then also in high demand.
Correct.
So that takes us into the deals that we're seeing going forward. So we have purchased Covington, Doraville, Kennesaw. We've purchased a few of these flex deals that are all right around Atlanta. And now we're looking at some assets that are out in Columbia, South Carolina, and then also some other ones that are here in Atlanta. But the Columbia stuff is pretty cool because it's 6 buildings.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to purchase, almost 200,000 square feet across a couple buildings. And then one of them is, how big's the really long one?
Probably 40, 50, 60,000 square foot.
50, 60, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still a good-sized building, but that's broken up into multiple bays.
Small
Where we have these 5,000 square foot shallow bay suites that we can lease out. So that's a good entrance into Columbia. There's also high demand in Columbia. We see high demand in all these markets. We've got Atlanta, Columbia, Raleigh, Charlotte, Chattanooga, but the rents are different in all those markets.
Drastically. Rents in Raleigh, Charlotte, they are $5 more than in Atlanta. There's no supply. Yeah, they trade for more as well, but you cannot just assume rent's going to be the same everywhere because it's the same asset class.
Yeah, and that's essentially like a 30-40% swing in rental rate for a very similar type building in a different market. And we're seeing Chattanooga is a little lower on the flex rate than we have Atlanta, and it kind of increases as we go up to Charlotte and then ultimately up to Raleigh, that the rates are a lot higher there. And this is something where we're going from $10, $12 rental rate to growing from there. Or we can see $10 or $12 in Atlanta. That's what we're seeing on our current leases here.
Yeah.
And that just grows as we go into Charlotte and North Carolina.
Correct.
The other deal we have coming up too is Dawson Flex, and we're closing that one here in probably a week or so after our end of quarter here, maybe 2 weeks. But this is a deal right in Atlanta as well, and it's 100% occupied, but we're going to be able to see pretty phenomenal revenue growth on turnovers once those happen.
Yeah, I mean, they are almost 60% below market. So we want them to get out, when we buy it.
Yeah, that just reminds me of 8 years ago when we were first buying apartments, and it's like, wow, there's so much room to grow revenue here. We just have to buy them and be efficient at leasing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing we're seeing right now in the flex space in that example. So Dawson, an example, 100% leased, but we're hoping we can get some move-outs in the first year period that we can realize the current rental rates that we're seeing right now and then have them go out 5-7 years with annual escalations.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about the deal here, but I think the NOI grows $500,000 in 4 years, and that's how we make.
Yeah, that's just revenue growth that we're seeing in the space. So
exactly, just through leasing.
Yeah. So it's very exciting for the industrial space as a whole. We're having great traction with leasing. Our acquisitions, we're still finding very good opportunities. On all of the end of quarter statements that you'll have, there's a quick write-up on how the deal's performing, what specifically is happening with that asset in that leasing. All of it's going very strong. So that will be in each cover page. And then we're going to do a Q&A session on the 25th. So we'll have some details out around that, and we'll be able to answer any questions you have around each specific deal at that time. All right, thank you very much for watching. Take care.
Thank you.